Hello and welcome back to Projects in Java. Today we're going to be starting our third project, which is our chat messenger application. One of the components that we're going to be using today is a Java socket. So we're going to have server sockets and client sockets. And what this does is it allows communication between two machines. In this case, we'll be using it on the same machine, but it'll simulate the same concept. And we're also going to be using Swing objects to create the user interface. So let's get started by demoing the full app. We have our chat server. So this is what creates the server socket, and it also creates the client sockets. So we need to start this up first and leave that running. And then we have a chat client. And so this is what sends messages to the chat server. And the last class that we have is a login. So this is just a quick login screen before you actually get into the chat menu. So let's launch some clients. So let me just call this user one. So user one has logged in. And we'll start another client, user two. And so now we have two users that can chat with each other. So type in here hello. And we'll type in hi here. And we can even add a third user. And you can see we have messages here each time a user logs in. So user 3 has logged in. Everyone gets a notice saying user 3 has logged in. And everyone is chatting with each other. So log out. And here you can see user 2 has logged out. Log out here. User 1 has logged out. Okay, now that we've seen that, let's go ahead and start this project from scratch. We'll close these. And create a new Java project. First class we'll create is the server. Without the server, we can't handle any inputs and outputs. We'll call this chat server. We need to create some vectors, and we'll make these static. First one is going to be for the client sockets. And second one is going to be for the client names. And we'll do our import of vector. And so this will allow us to create many clients and many login names for each one of our clients that connects. And we'll create the default constructor. Correct the spelling here. So first thing we'll do here is create a new server socket. And here we need to put an integer for the socket number. We'll use this one. And we'll import java.net. We can change this to an asterisk because we're going to be using more than that. and you have to throw an exception in case this fails. We'll initialize the vectors. And so now that those variables are initialized, we need to create a endless while loop. And so while true, we are going to have a client socket, and we're going to have the server accept this client. And later we'll create a new class called accept client. And we'll pass it this client that we just created. So let's create this class, accept client. It's going to extend thread. And so here we'll create another socket, client socket. We're going to create a data input stream. We'll call that DN, and an output stream, the out. We'll create the constructor, the constructor that accepts a socket. And we need to do Java IO for the import. And we can change this to an asterisk. And our client socket is going to be our client that we passed in. We'll initialize the data input streams. And so you notice the socket actually has an input stream. And it also has an output stream. And we'll make this throw an exception. Okay, next we'll read the login name. So string login name is equal to the input stream dot read UTF. and we need to add to the login name vector. So login names to add this login name. And then we also need to add to the client sockets vector. So we'll add the client socket. And we'll start the thread. And in this class, we also need to have a run function. So let's set that up. And so while true, we'll create a for loop. And so in our next video, what we're going to do is finish up our chat server and see if we can get started with the chat client.